nothing on the table. Nice into 15. Oh, and very late.
Springer 3:25. 1 minute to go. 1 minute we start the first half. Ist der 1 Minute noch dann wird der erste. flights. Seit 2 Minuten noch, dann geht's los mit den 2 minutes to go, 2 minutes to start the work. Startfreigabe ist das Halbbaum, Track is clear.
It's a foggy Altenberg this Saturday afternoon for the final run of the IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup competition of this season. Race 7 of 7 here at the toughest track in the business. Welcome back everybody, Martin Haven and Van Nieuwenhuis ready to watch the action. And after an entertaining first heat, we've got a pretty tough battle on our hands as the 20 sleds go down in some fairly misty conditions for this second and final run. So the battle for bronze is about 5 sleds strong. On top of that slippery pole is Kim Jin-soo of Korea, 39 hundredths off the lead, 200s ahead of Francesco Friedrich, who's in 4th. And there's quite a separation to the top 2, isn't there?
Yeah, the top 2, not a surprise. 2 German sleds, the 2 previous winners here last season and 2 seasons ago. Adam Amur with Benedikt Hertel in 2nd place. He has a 1100 deficit behind his teammate who won last year's race, who's won a lot of races this season, who is the World Cup leader. No one other than Johannes Lochner with his regular brakeman, Georg Fleischhauer. Started the fastest, came down the fastest, all down the track. He just was in front, 11 hundredths he has on his closest competitor, and almost 39 to 40 hundredths to number 3. So gold will definitely be a battle between Amur and Lochner.
Looks like it, doesn't it? The last 2 winners on this track, and Amur, the silver medalist last year behind Hansi as well. So it's going to be entertaining. And Kim Friedrich, I mean, clearly Friedrich wants to win his, what might well be his last ever 2-man race on his home track. But 41 hundredths over Lochner in the form that he's in, that's going to be tough. It is going to be an entertaining final race. Of course, it's not the last race of this season, because after this, in 3 weeks' time, we reconvene at the Pista Olimpica Eugenio Monti, or as it's prosaically known in IOC speak, the Cortina Sliding Centre. That will be the venue for the 2026 Winter Olympic Games. And again, Friedrich's a defending double 2-man and defending double 4-man champion. Lochner took the silver medals last time out. Amor's got to be in the frame. Brad Hall, Mickey Vogt, Marcus. I mean, so many potential candidates, maybe for the medals.
I think the last 2 years we definitely saw that the top of the field came a little bit closer together. We have those German sleds who are always in there, but with Brad Hall being there, with Jin-Soo Kim being there, Frankie really getting his mark on the 2-man races, we have a very interesting field here in this race, but definitely also on the very technical track of Cortina with a 4-heat race there. So all exciting races ahead.
One of the outliers there, just outside the top 6, Mihai Tintir of Romania, started 16th, came down 7th quickest. That could be entertaining. Now, it is misty, it is foggy. At the top of the track, though, I can assure you, Chris Horn and Hunter Powell, 5:28 getaway, 4th fastest start, but Horn barely got into the sled, and it got little better all the way down the track.
One of the faster starting sleds of the field, and a 5:22 even improved on that. So it shows that that little mishap at the start in Heat 1 definitely cost him some time and velocity. Let's see if he can bring it down quicker. That definitely looked like a solid exit out of 4 going into 5. A little long on 6, making him tap before going into Labyrinth and into curve 9. Flattens it out a little bit, and you can see how much fog there is hanging in and around the track. We had some training postponed this week because of the fog. Let's hope the visibility stays okay for the drivers to come down safely.
Yeah, because this is a quick track and it's demanding enough when you've got crystal clear visibility. Out of 14, uphill into 15.
Shoots high into 16. And then crosses the finish line, 56.11, more than half a second improvement on his first heat.
And you know what, it looked tidier, but the key thing here, mission accomplished. Get down, get done, finished, hits in one piece, crews in one piece, morale is in one piece, excellent.
He needed that after a tough weekend in Moritz last weekend with the crash in the 2-man and the mishap in the 4-man start.
Yeah.
So good job on bringing it down on a track that he doesn't know well, that he didn't have a lot of training time on. Here we see his Kreisel. That's where it got a little bit rocky. It's just pointing a little bit too much up and down. We want the waves, but we want them to be kind of parallel. And there you can see the sharp crossover, lift off of the back runners that broke him into a skid and made the 13 to 14 transition a little bit harder as well.
Chris Horn, really a rookie on this track. Rookie in the World Cup, though, for Switzerland. Kilian Rohn and Andre Tour. These two making their first World Cup start because Mickey Vogt has slipped off down to Innsbruck to race in Europe Cup. So these guys have been promoted. And actually, I thought for the first time ever with lights, cameras, and all the nonsense of World Cup around them. It was a very calm and controlled first heat.
He brought it down beautifully. A 573, he loses a little bit on that start, and that will cost him a lot, and it will be very tough to catch Chris Horn.
Yeah, he was only 22 hundredths ahead of Horn from the start, and Horn started 22. They started half a second slower, so he's in the red, and that gap will grow.
Very similar run to Horn so far. Little touch on 5, a little tap before 7, but a much better exit out of 9. Faster velocity, but the gap is kind of big, and there's not a lot of track anymore to catch up on 6/10.
Bringing it back, 67 hundredths down to 55. He'll probably still be a 10th or 2 back at the line.
Great exit there, and he really is making this deficit smaller.
See why he's the one they chose to come up from Europe Cup. 56.54, 56.51 in the first heat. In these conditions, with the pressure of having all these global superstars in the dressing room around him, that's impressive consistency, just 300ths apart on those 2 runs.
He really held his own on his first World Cup, showed that he's a capable driver. If he can get a little bit of physical work in the summer, get his push to where it needs to be competitive, then we can see a lot more of this young Swiss driver.
Yeah, just 23, and you can see there from those shots.
Struggle from Andre to get his big body into the sled.
He's literally twice the size of the driver.
And there, 12 to 13.
There you go, there's your brakeman, Andre Tour, and there is Kilian Rohn making his World Cup debut. Well, that's still relatively recent for Martin Krantz of Liechtenstein. And again, changing around their 2-man brakeman. It is David Scherfen who is doing duties today.
Yeah, you can see Tim Kessler on the right with the blue head, supporting his crew members, his other 2-man brakemen. And they really have improved on their start as well compared to last season. It's really starting to come together. 5:45 best velocity, which says a lot, knowing that Chris Horn already came through there as well.
Yeah, Chris Horn started in 5:22, and yet these guys, 2300 slower across the timing beams, have got better velocity.
So he must have had a good curve 1 coming out there.
Dropping into the red behind Horn.
But a good exit, nice in the middle, brings it over early. Doesn't quite have the speed that I think Kilian had, because it's the Swiss sled who's been fastest all the way, but now picking up speed. Nice in the middle.
Again, their Swiss sled tech knows how to get speed out of these things. 2/10 up. This is a really nice run from Martin Krantz.
Beautiful run. Just a little high in the end there, but 56.02, big improvement. Also 4/10 quicker than he was in the first heat. Fastest run so far.
Sled's still making that funny rattling or that flappy noise. You do get that occasionally, and I always wonder what it is. It's not necessarily always this sled. I'm sure that when they watch the video back, their sled tech's going to go, right, what's that?
What's
and go
this
and
little rattle?
Yeah, have a dig
I
inside.
don't know. We've heard Timo Rohner's sled do this as well. Another Swiss-built sled, so maybe this rattle is something that they want.
Yeah. Well, maybe they could attach a cowbell to it. I don't know, you know. Swiss style.
Yeah, 4-5, not perfect. Just a little lift off of that right back runner. Scrubbing off some ice, scrubbing off some speed.
So from Liechtenstein to our next door neighbours here in Altenberg, Czech Republic, Matej Behenek and Andre Rupp. So Dominic Dvorak there, former #1 driver, now leading the programme, both for Czech Bobsleigh and for Czech Skeleton. There's got a lot on his plate.
Busy days.
Yeah, it's like being in TV. You do every training session for every sport. None of this half day and then we'll go and have some cake and some coffee nonsense.
5:43.
And again, exactly
Matching
the
their
same.
start.
Yeah,
Yep.
same as Liechtenstein.
And
same
great
start.
velocity.
Yeah.
Beautiful curve 1. Also, just skids out of curve 3 there. A bit high up, but beautifully through the middle of 4-5. And the tap before the labyrinth before 7. And and it's really hard in this zoom-in shot to see the white sled appear from the fog.
The good news is the driver's eyes probably see better than the camera lens does against that light, but
yeah,
2400's up, only third best speed. The gap's going to come down a fraction.
and especially because he had that little rub before 14, and then the height in 15, touching the inside wall.
Down to 1400s, but he does hold the lead. 56.03 compared to 56.02 of Liechtenstein, so losing 100th of his first heat advantage. You can see down here, actually, although there's just as much cloud, because I think we are in the clouds rather than fog, it does seem a little clearer when you're not using that big telephoto lens up the straight.
Yep, so long on the exit there, flopped out, touched the right wall, like his right-hand wall, broke into a skid, and then tried to get it back. And here that crossover 11-12, bringing him early into 13, but it didn't quite do enough, so that made him touch the wall, little chip of ice flying off there.
Well, they look happy with that. And there are so many different national qualification criteria and rules and regulations. You never quite know what's going on in these races. We did last weekend, didn't we, with the Dutch, with the Netherlands, Dave Wesseling and Jelen Francic. Huge emotion as they got their final qualifying run nailed in St.
And they showed again that they can push in the first heat. They had 5th fastest start time, but only the 16th downtime, really showing the lack of experience of the driver on this track. 5:31, just 200 slower than he did in the first heat with Jelen. But as I said, he hasn't been here much, didn't have a lot of time to learn, had a crash in training, which injured his knees, didn't do the foreman training anymore, so didn't really get a lot of time to develop his feeling on the track in this rented sled.
And you get so little time. 6 runs is the maximum in training, and then if you do 2-man and 4-man or mono and women's bob, you get another 4 competitions.
Flat in Kreisel, collect a lot of pressure, and you can see he came in fastest in Kreisel and only 4th velocity coming out of Kreisel, so did too much driving there.
Still 2500s up, should take the lead, although 15-16 was a little bit uncomfortable across the line. 1800s up, 55.9 compared to 56.2, so 0.3 of a second improvement on that run. And Ivo de Bruin with the single finger and the thumbs up.
And I think they're happy to get it down and done. That his body is still recovering from a crash last week, a crash this week. Now they can go and prep for the Olympics. Flat line, a lot of control there, a lot of driving. And then he pings up just before the flag. And this is the crossover where he crashed out in training. Little high there again, but with the 2-man it's more easily managed than with a 4-man because there's a lot of weight in the back than pulling on the sled. But he got it done.
Next up, and just 200s faster than Dave Wesseling in the Netherlands, is Taylor Austin for Canada. Lucas Stoikos behind him on the sled, and just the one Canadian 2-man here this weekend.
Pat Norton, the other Canadian sled on World Cup, is currently in Eagles for the double Europa Cup race.
It's that battle to try and qualify extra sleds. Every national point counts.
And he really ran it far,
wow.
Luca.
Yeah, he
5:47, matched their first heat push. Good job on 1-2.
It's the equivalent of running it down to kink 2 in St. Moritz, never mind kink 1.
And now he really needs to do what he usually does, is outdrive the start. Find that velocity in the track. And that's not gonna do it. Little skid, tried to correct it, but then skidded the other way. A little bit more wavy than the Dutch sled, but there, the gap is growing.
Yeah, not having the run that he did in the first heat, 4/10s back and more.
Slightly bringing it back, but the gap is quite big. He might drop 2 places.
Yeah, Matti Bernhard just 1800s back, and he does drop, just saves himself from falling behind Martin Krantz of Liechtenstein. Only 300s ahead of the young driver from Liechtenstein. So nearly dropped to 4th spot at the line. 56.21, they came down 56.19 in the first heat.
So one of the few drivers who didn't improve on his first heat. And this is definitely one of the things that caused that. He tried to correct the skid, tried to get to the early entry into Kreisel, but then skidded the other way. Did a lot of driving there as well. Good timing of his third wave. Just a little sharp. And then tap before going into 11.
See how damp the air is on our Finnish camera lens. Ramon will be out there with the cloth in a moment or two, don't you worry. Patrick Baumgartner with Jose Abu behind him. And Jose chosen again for his big, long sprinter strides at the end, trying to get those final powerful bits of acceleration with Baumgartner. They started 14th fastest, came down in 14th place.
And Patrick is one of the more experienced drivers in the field, has been around for a long time. Was the Youth Olympic champion in 2012, so he knows this track. He's been here a lot. Also has a German coach, Mani Machata, so knows the inside and outsides of the track.
Yeah, Baumgartner's been going so long that the other podium finishes in Youth Olympics have already retired.
Have retired and started coaching.
Yeah, Benny Meyer and Rudy Rinaldi they were. Patrick took the gold and he's still going and looking to try and do the same at his home Olympic Games. 200s in front, best speed though, so he might creep away again a little.
Very good velocity, beautiful Kreisel. Building on that velocity, late there to 13, so needed a little bit more driving to get him through to 14. And then a late entry into 16, really picking up the height there.
Well, he built it down below the Kreisel. 55.81 came down 56.01, so 0.2 of a second of an improvement.
And he might move up a few spots with that, because he was in that very tight group with 5 sleds and just 0.13 of a second ahead of him. So let's see if this improvement brings him enough to stay in the leader box for a while. There we saw entry into 14. He got in there too early. He gave him some pressure in the end that pushed him on that uphill section, pushed him a little bit to the driver's right-hand side.
You're the next.
All right, so Patrick Baumgartner is our race leader. 13 sleds to go in the season. I can't believe we've got there so soon. Roman Heinrich and Dorian Otteville. Roma, yet another one of those athletes with a toddler on tour. This little baby Noli will be somewhere around there. Oh, I don't know. No, 3:45. Yeah, it's okay. Allez, Papa. Listen for it.
He had a beautiful top section of the track, but then it kind of got away from him in the middle. So let's see if he can bring it all the way down now in the second heat. 5:42.
700 slower than their first heat.
Also, velocity was not great coming out of curve 1, so he'll need to drive it into first position.
Tied for the lead and then dropping into the red behind Patrick Baumgartner.
A beautiful 4 to 5 section again, just like he did in the first heat, but let's see if he can bring it straight down to Kreisel. And that's much better than he did in the first heat. Fastest velocity.
Yeah, quicker than Baumgartner by 1/10 of a kilometer.
And building on that, still fastest velocity, just ahead of Baumgartner.
Well, he was only 100th ahead of Patrick in the first heat, and it might be the same gap again.
It's going to be very close.
Super tight to the 100th of a second. 600 back.
The Italians did find some speed at the end there.
So second place for Roman Heinrich and Dorian Otteville.
And it's still the Liechtenstein sled who has the highest top speed in the bottom of the track.
2 top 10 results this season. 6th place in Innsbruck, race 2, and 9th place in St. Moritz last weekend in the 2-man. Look at Dorian's enormous claws there. He's trying to fold back into the sled.
And they're being on the driver's right-hand side, being pushed to the middle of 15.
12 to go. Jakobs Kalender and Edgars Ungers, the last Latvian medal on this track, a silver for Ostas Kībermanis in the 2020 World Championships. Kībermanis had a couple of bronze, rather. He had 4 bronze medals in a row. Oskars Melbardis a couple of silvers before that. But Latvia, despite you would think the similarity to Sigulda, have not always fared well here.
Well, Kalender is still one of the youngest drivers in the field. And he's been on World Cup pretty much as soon as he got into a sled, so he didn't have a lot of training time, probably didn't have a lot of pre-season training here, so he's only doing a couple of training runs per season, splitting them between a 2-man and a 4-man, so it's difficult to learn a technical track like this with just minimal training time.
Yeah, valid point. Only 23, so he's got, you know, a decade and a half potentially ahead of him.
And we can see very close racing. He popped up in the third wave a little too soon, and then we saw that pressure kept him on there. Late into 14. A beautiful exit.
Only had 300s over Baumgartner from the first heat, and he's not going to get that back, is he? Doesn't have the speed.
And he falls behind to French sled as well.
Yeah. So the French only 600s back. He drops to 1300s back and drops a couple of spaces. So 55.98 first heat, 55.97 second heat. It's not exactly like he's wild and wayward, is it? He's pretty much got what he's got at the moment, and it needs more years on ice to develop that knowledge.
A solid performance, and he did what he needed to do, but there we can see just too early in that high point in the third wave, which almost creates a fourth wave and keeps him on the end of Kreisel there. He still got it out. He was aware of the situation and then did a little more work there.
So again, we get into this tight battle. Next up, Jakob Mandelbauer of Austria and Daniel Bertzler. These guys, 8th fastest start in the field. Very impressive. But their margin over the Italians, 0.05 of a second.
And he was working that 8th fastest start time to his 7th fastest until it got away from him in 14. So if he can improve on that, he might just move up as well.
Yeah, 5.30. Excellent starting. Daniel Bertzler will be very pleased with those.
The little low through 2, wiggling to a beautiful entry into 3. Early onto 5, but no push away. Good manage there, and a skid out of 6, just putting him late into 7.
Giving away a decade of experience to Patrick.
And that's very high. He needs to get it back under control, time that exit, late into 11, which might be a sharp crossover, but got away there as well.
Patrick Baumgartner now with a slender advantage as Jakob Mandelbauer drops back. 1300s cover the top 3. He's going to be 4th at the line and drops back by 0.2.
That very close group of sleds. They're all being switched around.
Only a second year in the World Cup. You can imagine by the time we're heading towards the French Alps by 2030, this guy's going to be one of the best in the top 10.
Definitely. Great push. He has a decent drive. It's just about bringing it consistently to a good run.
And that is repetition. And you need years for repetition. But great attitude, always got a big smile on his face. Patrick Baumgartner leads from Roman Heinrich and Jakobs Kalender. 10 down, 10 to go here in Altenberg. So it's always a difficult track to get the most out of. So easy to make mistakes. I mean, there's so much driving that needs to be done, and yet you can't overdrive it. It always seems to me, as a driver, it's probably the toughest track in the business.
There are just some spots that you need to be on your steers. You cannot miss the waves in 4, because if you tap or if you get the early entry into 5, you get pushed away. It just cascades on to curve 5, to curve 6. It makes the labyrinth more difficult. Also, if you don't quite manage the height in 9 at a good time, it might pick you up in the end. It shoots you out in a skid in that straightaway. So there are so many little things that can cost a lot of speed and can cost a lot of time. Kreisel is one of the most technical Kreisels in the world. Once you get that feeling, that timing of where do I allow it to go up, how can I use this pressure in my hand to really accelerate out of Kreisel, it's one of the most beautiful curves to drive, but it is very technical. And then you have high speed at 11-12, Labyrinth. It's tricky because you need a lot of driving in the correct time, and then you kind of need to get back into a relaxed mode, because once you've gone through 13, you need to ease it down again and really use all that speed that you build. You need to let it flow, and then it's sometimes tricky to not overdrive it at the end. So it's just, it's a beautiful track to drive, and if you get it right, there's no feeling like it, because these technicalities, if you nail it, it's just, you can feel the speed building in your sled.
It is the Spa-Francorchamps of ice sliding. Technical, demanding, occasionally quite scary, but the rewards, when it gets right, must be amazing. So, final 10 sleds of the season, up there somewhere.
The fog seems to be thickening. I really hope that the visibility of the pilots is still okay.
Yeah, well, track is slightly clear for Timo Röhne and Mathieu Hersberger. Now, our current leader, Patrick Baumgartner, was 1300ths behind this Swiss duo. We've got another 2 or 3 sleds that Baumgartner will have been targeting. 5:41 getaway, 5:42 in the first heat.
Just a little late on the D-rings, and you could see an unstable sled coming out of those start grooves, but he got it back just in time. And he really needs a big result, because he's still in the battle to qualify the 3rd sled for Switzerland, in a battle with the US, who have a 3rd sled possibly qualified through NAC racing. But he's doing what he needs to do. Clean exit there. Decent speed, 3rd fastest so far of the 11 sleds that are going down. And the fastest coming out of Kreisel.
Great lines, good speed. It does sound like somebody left a bag of spanners in the bottom of the sled. 1300s up though.
Interesting rattle.
Yeah. But it's clearly not affecting the speed, not detrimentally anyway. Across the line, 2100s up.
And I think a top 10 is his best result of the season. And I don't know if it's already enough or if he needs to do anything more in the foreman tomorrow to get his qualification spot.
Wow.
It's based on combined rankings, so we'll have to wait and see, but this is definitely helping their case.
Fabio, their sled tech, was very happy there, wasn't he? It is his first top 10 result at a finish, 2 11th place finishes in Sigulda and last week in St. Moritz up until now. But that is a top 10 guaranteed for the first time for Timo Röhne.
So the big oscillation there, still quite high in the second wave, and that pushes him, the front bumper hits, and then you have a little bit of airborne action of the back runners getting back.
Well, the boys look happy with that. And here come their teammates, and they were separated by the smallest difference that we measure, 100th of a second. Cedric Follador and Omar Fergala on the back of the sled.
Yep, if Timo could move up a couple more spots, it would help their case for qualifying, but obviously you still want to race and you still want to do the very best you can.
Yeah,
Cedric will be looking forward instead of backwards.
To drop any spots. He wants to move up as well and take Timo in the slipstream.
200s improvement compared to their first push. A clean top of the track so far. Good early entry into 5 without tapping. Just a touch before heading into 7 and 8. Great high, flopping it off. And wonderful velocity. Very fast, controlled waves. Pushes him early into 11. Nice, smooth transition to 12. A little sharp there out of 13. And then the big skid late to 15.
That might bring it down into single digits, but he did have the best speed at the bottom, holds on to 1300s.
That was a beautiful run from Cedric.
That might mean that the 2 Swiss sleds move up as one.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, there's only 1,300 between. There's Timo Rona offering his congratulations to Sedi Folidor and Omar Fergler.
Apart from that little skid out of 14, that was a beautiful run coming out of curve 1. Ah, there the little skid as well. Beck just dropping out of the curve.
Boys in the truck always find the stuff that we don't see, even your eyes. Drivers and coaches see so much, and big hugs. All right, the Swiss 1-2 at the moment, 8 to go. Marcus Treichel, Leo Sars behind him. 100th of a second their advantage. So 100th back to Folidor, 100th further back was Rona. 800th behind him, his own teammate Mandelbauer. Mandelbauer's dropped down to 6th place, but he'll again be looking forward once another top 6 finish.
Not much of a hit of the brakeman there. I think he's one of the newer guys, but definitely can sprint with a great turnover in the end. 5:44.
That's a 10th slower than their first start, only the 9th best velocity off the 10th best start.
That's unfortunate. And then a little scrub on the wall before going into curve 4. Slides off 4 as well. Gets it clean through 6 and 7. Good height, drops it off just like Folidor did. But not the greatest velocity going into Kreisel. He'll really need to find something at the bottom of the track to turn this around and catch those Swiss sleds.
Not happening, is it? They were 1st and 2nd in the speeds. He's only 4th. He's already dropping behind them. Does he drop behind Baumgartner? That might be a danger.
Well,
Baumgartner 3,400s back in 3rd, and he
Just
200s. He just stays in front of Patrick Baumgartner. But both Swiss sleds now pop up another one. And Folidor's not the issue. It's how far up Timo Rona can finish that is going to add those points. And I think it is still a battle with that 3rd US sled. And they've got a battle on their hands in the women with the 3rd Canadian sled and the 3rd Swiss sled. So, and this is the lack of cohesion. That's why they're a 10th slower. The brakeman's going, and Treichel and Leo have not got that
he also
cohesion.
got in quite early, so I don't know if they just don't want to risk anything heading into the games in just less than a month.
And you know what? There's so much of that going on as well. Slightly hedging your bets. The problem here is you can't take it easy and relax on this track.
No.
If you do, suddenly you're bouncing on your head. And that's not a happy time.
That's the last thing you want heading into the games.
Mihai Tentea, 16th at the start, 7th at the bottom. Show me a driver who has outdriven his start better today.
Yeah, he really did some impressive driving on this track. 5:40, found 300ths of a second compared to his first start, and 2nd best velocity coming out of curve 1. Little sideways slide, 3 to 4, but a good transition, 4 to 5.
He's got such a good touch, hasn't he, this kid?
He knows this track. He likes to drive it. He likes the more technical driver's track. He's also good in Sigulda. He knows what to do. Decent speed, 2nd fastest sled in the track so far.
Gaps come down from 1,300s, nothing left.
He's gonna struggle there, a little skid as well, heading into 13. He needs to be perfect.
He's gonna be behind them both, I think, isn't he?
Ooh, very close. Not the greatest transition, 16 to...
3rd at the line. Oh, 2nd at the line. He held that pace, 55.72.
But a top 8 result for the Romanian sled.
That's a huge result in the 2-man, especially for Mihai Tentea. He's 11th in the World Cup rankings. 2 9th place finishes have been his best results this season in the busy track at Sigulda and in Winterberg.
Exited out of curve 9 with a little bit too much left pressure, so he touched just before going into Kreisel, and then we can see the 11-12, a little jump of the back.
All right, Top
He's
8,
happy.
best result of the season, and close to one of his best of his career. Now then, there is a little bit of distance between, or there was, between Tentea and Marcus Treichel, our current leader, and Frank Del Duca in 6th place. 2900s, beg your pardon, ahead of the Austrians. And Frank with Boone Niederhofer behind, both dads.
9 fastest start in the first heat at 5:34 and drove it into 6th place. Very similar, 5:37, 3/100ths of a second. Fairly clean out of curve 1. Kept it in the bottom of curve 2.
5th best speed, 3rd best velocity.
Little long onto 4, but got away with it. And now he's starting to build his advantage. Long on 8, flopped it off. And same out of 9. Cost him a little bit of speed, I think, this flops.
Yeah, quite a lot of speed. Follador is fastest until the bottom corners.
Found it again. Kreisel is trying to get that velocity back.
Oh, this is going to
Keeping
be
his
tight.
advantage.
Should hold on to about 1500ths of a second at the line. 55.74, just 200ths of a second slower than Mihai Tentea, but 0.2 quicker than Marcus Treichel. Cedric Follador still the fastest run down, 55.61.
And another top 6 for Frankie.
Yeah.
Very consistent in the 2-man. Flopped it up there, got it back to an early entry, just touching the wall as he heads into Kreisel. Controlled the first wave, allowed it to go up in the second one. Went up a little bit too soon in the third one, but managed the exit.
Last week his worst result, 7th place in St. Moritz. He will be in the top 6 again. What about Brad Hall, a medalist on this track? In the bronze medal position last year, silver here in 2023. He knows how to get speed out of this place, and in both cases, with Taylor Lawrence behind him, that is Big T on the left of your shot.
Only
He's not just big,
500
tall and
front,
strong,
though.
but he's fast. Yeah, this is going to be super tight.
500s in front of Frankie, only 600 behind the Koreans who are currently in 3rd, and Friedrich is even in between there.
5:32 start. They started 5:29 in the first heat. Almost nobody starting as quickly in heat 2.
Clean top part of the track so far. Little touch there. But it didn't push him away, didn't cost him too much. Good early entry into 9. And a drop off the exit of 9. Sticks it along that left wall.
Speed is excellent, 2nd quickest, so that gap will increase over Del Duca.
Very nice, 11 to 12. Long transition. Nearly perfect in the middle of out of 14.
Keeping the speed alive, building the advantage. Is this enough to take him up closer to the medals? 55.61 run.
Matches Cedric's run in the second heat. He's very happy with that. But is it enough to compete for a medal on this track today?
Well, it was a tough battle for the bronze medal position.
And you can see the amount of driving that he did. You can spot that runner completely turned. And there, that rub pushed him away a little bit.
He was only 600ths off bronze, Brad Hall, 600ths of a second. And in between him and the bronze medal position of Kim Jin-soo is the local hero. Listen to the noise at the start for the GOAT. Francesco Friedrich with his #1 brakeman behind him, Alex Schuller. In all the races they've had together, they have only missed the podium twice.
Those are incredible stats.
Unbelievable. This combination has just been such a surefire thing. He is looking for his 90th World Cup
Wow,
win.
18 fastest push of the competition so far. He got in a little bit earlier than he did in his first heat. So he's cleaner at the top because he's going to charge forward. He is not happy being out of the medals.
He really isn't. He was only 400s ahead of Brad Hall from the first heat. It's nearly 4/10 of a second. Where was this Friedrich in the first run?
Absolutely crushes it, but velocity is not quite there like we're used from him.
4,400s up, only the fourth best speed. Follador still quickest. Brad Hall fastest at the bottom here.
But he is building speed.
It's home ice. He's been doing this for nearly 30 years across the line. 55.15.
This is what he needed in the first heat.
Yeah.
Would have put him in second place this time. But this is really challenging the Korean sled for bronze, or possibly
this is on a track that is not as fast as it was in the first heat. That's a huge run from Friedrich. His last ever two-man race on his home track, maybe. If it is, if it isn't, either way, he doesn't want to go out without a medal.
But what a push again from this duo. High waves. Dipped low, pinged up at the flag. And look at his aerodynamic position as well as a driver. That's something he does so well, to be so low. Even with the pointy sled, he just keeps his head down.
Yeah.
Because he knows the track.
That smile. Look at the Olympic tattoo on the arms of Kim Hyung-gun, looking to go to his second games. Kim Jin-soo is with him now. These guys were in the bronze medal position, had a medal together 2 years ago in bronze, 5:22 start, so they lose out to Friedrich from the get-go.
And drifted a little bit out of curve 1, bringing back to 3. Touching the wall there just before they head into 4, and also early entry onto 5. A little bit too high into 3, so I think he's losing a little bit of time, and the gap will grow.
Flops off 9.
And a big skid going into Kreisel.
And he's not going to be second at the line, is he? He might drop behind Brad Hall as well.
Taps there as well, coming out of Kreisel. Lost a lot of speed, only 15 fastest.
Actually, Brad Hall is 5/10 back. He's only 3,500s back. This might still be second place for Kim Jin-soo.
Might hold on to it, but it's close.
Yeah, by 300ths of a second.
55.64. So he lost 1700s compared to his first heat, as Friedrich found 0.3 of a second.
Well, he was 600s ahead of Brad Hall in the first heat. He ends up 300s ahead of him. So that's the barometer there. Friedrich had an out-of-character average run in the first heat and blitzed it in the second.
But this definitely didn't help his case. That big skid in that straightaway. And then a decent Kreisel, but had too much pressure. Tapped the wall going into 11.
Still, what a season Kim Jin-soo has had.
He
really
will
impressive.
Definitely be among the medal candidates in
All right,
Cortina.
now then, are we going to get the first German podium sweep since the World Championships in 2020? It looks now a nailed-on certainty. Second, 1100ths off the lead. Adam Amor with Benedikt Hertel, Big Benny on the back in what I think might be his last race here. It's home ice.
And he is looking forward. That win in Maritz in the foreman really freed his mind, made him mentally strong to believe that he can win against his teammates, against the fellow German sleds.
5:28, they start a 10th behind Friedrich, but they did have a 0.2 of a second advantage in the bank. He's a little wild early on.
Yeah, he was a little early onto 5, a little too free. Jumpy there between 7 and 8. It is not as clean as his first one.
From 0.3 ahead in the first heat, only the 5th best speed. That lead will be gone out of the Kreisel.
But
Whoa.
he finds speed high at the exit, and wow, that was a big skid going into 13. He has the speed, he has the gap.
He's
gonna
out
hold it?
driving Friedrich in Altenberg. He is going to lead across the line.
Dropped 2/10 compared to his first heat, but held his first heat advantage.
2400 slower than Friedrich, but he had 3/10 in hand.
It really tried to get away from him, but he kept it. He kept it going.
That's the confidence. That's the ability of this young man. This is the future and the present for German bobsledding.
But that's high in 12, and you could see both of his top runners, both of the left runners being lifted off the air, lifted off the ice in the air. That's risky.
That line in the four-man, you're not coming back up. You are
that
not.
pulls you over.
All right, Georg Fleischauer bouncing up and down on his toes like an 8-year-old, and his driver, Hansi Lochner. They know that there's a battle on here.
I know. I bet they saw the 5:18 of Friedrich and Schuller. I'll bet they'll be eager to match that or to beat that.
Well, they started 5:19 in the first heat, the fastest starting duo. And like Friedrich and his team, they're always targeting records and fastest pushes and runs.
That load of the big guy in the back. He just jumps in like he's 160, not 2 meters tall.
Such great low heel return as well. Put so much power into the sled.
Clean at the top. 2800 advantage.
4100s over Friedrich in the first heat. Friedrich went 3/10 better, so Johannes cannot lose more than a tenth.
Fastest speed again, and now he's letting it fly.
Do you remember the days when Johannes Lochner was the four-man guy?
And he is just flying. Nah, ever since with Georg, he is the two-man guy as well.
Isn't he though? He's the guy. 4300s up, he's driving away.
What
and it is going to be
win.
A 6th win of the season for Johannes Lochner and Georg Fleischauer.
Fastest run, first heat, second heat. He is the big favorite for the two-man in Cortina.
And the consistency, 55.08 in the first heat, 55.05 in the second. They were nearly carbon copy runs. Hansi, there's something about
this duo that just works.
This team, and Torsten Margis is now blended into this as well, and it's having the time of his life, you know.
And he is bringing the experience of what it takes to win an Olympic gold medal, and I think this is what Lochner needs, someone to help him keep cool, help him keep it calm, that he can do it on the highest level as well, that he can do it on the games.
His third win in 4 races on this track. And this is not just a German winning in Germany, this is beating France on home ice in Altenberg. And for a decade, that was impossible.
Yep, and another clean streak for Germany. It's been a few years, but they've got it back. 1, 2, 3, Lochner, Amur, and Friedrich.
Well. There haven't been too many non-German podiums in the course of this season. They are in exceptionally good form. They swept the medals in the two-man in Beijing. Friedrich, Lochner, and Christoph Hafer taking the bronze. But again, they do it, and saluted by the crowd here.
Big smiles from the big guys.
And they won by 4500s, half a second ahead of Friedrich. Kim, Hall, Del Duca, followed Orten, Tentea. I mean, what a day for Mihai Tentea. 7th
also
in the
for
first
Timo
heat, 8th in the better, and Timo Rohner as well, yeah. Really important day for Timo Rohner to produce the goods under real pressure. And actually, you've sort of felt sometimes he's had one good run and then sort of fallen away a bit. Not today. Baumgartner outside the top 10, ahead of Heinrich Kalender, Mandelbauer, Wesseling, and the rest. And congratulations as well to Kilian Rohn for making his debut with Andre Tour behind him. First time in the World Cup. I think they did themselves plenty of favours. The next time they get a World Cup spot, it won't be new. It won't be strange. They've done it.
And who knows when that will be?
Who knows? Might be at the beginning of next season, see how the pre-season goes. So our final World Cup standings, Lochner is champion. Francesco Frisia, with so many crystal globes in his closet, will take the silver, and Adam Armour the bronze, from Frank Del Duca, Kim Jin-soo and Brad Hall. And those are the two-man World Cup standings. The overall IBSF ranking, of course, includes everybody who's raced in all of the feeder series, North America's Cup, Europe Cup and Asia Cup over this last season. And so that will decide who gets Olympic spots and who gets what starting position in Cortina. But that's all for the future. We've still got plenty of sliding to come, and we'll be back coaching tomorrow morning for the women's bobsleigh competition, and we have the four-man coming up tomorrow afternoon. So 10 a.m, 0900 GMT, 0400 Eastern for the women. My thanks to Anne van Nieuwenhuis for great insight in the commentary position, and thanks to you for joining us. That's it for Saturday in Altenberg. The last day of the season comes up tomorrow. See you then.